Welcome back, mock draft fans, to another mock draft here. We are drafting the Philadelphia Eagles rounds 1 through 3. A trip to the Super Bowl in its past, looking to see how they can get better and get over the hump and win another Super Bowl maybe next year. Chase, what do you think?
Yeah. This Eagles team, 2 first-round picks, just coming off a Super Bowl, having some departures, but not many that you can't clear up. I think this is going to be a fun draft for Eagles fans. Sad part is they have to visit Kansas City to see it, so brings back a little bit of bad memories there. But the Kelceys will love it, I'm sure. But let me hit you, Garrett, with some of these off-season moves that the Phillies been doing. So they've had a couple of key losses here with Miles Sanders, their running back, Javon Hargreaves, their defensive tackle, Isaac Seumalo, the offensive guard, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson left for Detroit, and then T.J. Edwards left for the Bears in that offseason. But they have been pretty busy in free agency, grabbing Rashawn Penny, the running back from Seattle, former first-round pick, Terrell Edmunds, the safety from the Pittsburgh Steelers, former first-round pick, Justin Evans, a safety for the Broncos, and Greedy Williams, which was a cornerback can convert in safety, kind of played that dual threat, and he played on the Bears last season. So they've done their due diligence, but there's still some people that they've left off that we can grab them right here.
Yeah, obviously, when you make it to the Super Bowl, players are going to have to get paid. You're not going to be able to pay everybody, and other teams are going to pick away the talent. So it's definitely one of the downfalls of being successful, right? You can't pay everybody. You can't keep everybody, unfortunately. Although the Eagles are trying. They brought back found a way to bring back some players that were really impressive.
Absolutely, They
Darius Slay came back. It looks like, he almost became a Raven, but he decided to stay in Philly. They were able to re-sign Jason Kelce there to stir up their anchor on the offensive line. And so able to keep, some Fletcher Cox is there again. So definitely to keep, some of their core players that have been there for. Exactly. Yeah. So definitely there to keep a lot of core players that have been there for a while. That have been in there for, a couple of them were in their first Super Bowl appearance, that first Super Bowl win, and they've kept it here to continue moving forward. So really good job by the Eagles to their front office and hire Roseman to kind of put those deals together and, do their best to keep that core together as much as you can. Obviously, Javon Hargrave is a huge loss. He's going to be a beast there in San Francisco. So maybe, this is the draft to do it. They obviously drafted Jordan Davis a year ago. Possibly they expected this to happen. They knew they weren't going to be able to pay Javon Hargrave, so they drafted his replacement, and now he's coming in. So a lot of different things here to go forward, but I'm excited to go ahead and dive in here. What would you think specifically, though? We're looking at rounds 1 through 3 are the biggest needs here for the Eagles, though.
Yeah, so I've got defensive backs, even though bringing in a couple of those safeties and that cornerback, the defensive backs, Darius Slay's getting up there in age. James Bradbury signed a 3-year contract. He's kind of up there in age. And they really didn't have another answer besides them two. Slot wide receiver, better than Quez. They've got the pretty good wide receiver core, but I could see that being a need. Offensive guard could be a need, maybe even center this year because Jason's probably only going to stick around for one more year. And then a defensive tackle or an offensive defensive tackle or an edge rusher could be a pretty primary position. Maybe Fletcher Cox is looking like he's gone, that we already talked about the loss of Hargraves. Robert Quinn is still a free agent. They don't know if they're going to be able to bring him back. Hassan Reddick is there, but he's kind of the only one that sticked around outside of Cox. So to shore up that defensive front that they like to do, I could see edge and D-tackle being on their draft boards as well.
Yeah, so definitely kind of drafting for need now, but mostly drafting for need in the future.
Exactly.
And they're set up really well to do that with 2 first-round picks. So let's go ahead and get started here with those 2 first-rounders. So definitely nice that trade with the Saints. Obviously, he's paying dividends here. That's going to be super important for them. So we'll go ahead and start here with the rounds 1 through 3 of the Philadelphia Eagles. And so now we have here, so pick number 10, obviously top 10 in the draft is huge. Now, I don't know when they made this trade with the Saints, if they thought that this was going to be the value of that pick.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Saints just had a disaster of a season. Just everything really wasn't working for them at all. And so the Eagles get to reap that. They're the benefit of that. The Saints obviously get a one back because of the Broncos trade for Sean Payton. So all's not lost for the Saints, but having the 29th pick versus the 10th pick, very, very different. So the Eagles definitely, have that value here at pick number 10. So looking at what we see here and what's available, Chase, I kind of think I know what you've talked about. So I'm thinking I know who you're looking at here, but why don't you go ahead and tell our viewers here?
Yeah, so right off the bat, Christian Gonzalez is there. He's my cornerback one. I think he's going to be very special in this league. Also, something as I'm looking, Kalijah Cansey would be pretty interesting in this defensive front too if he's still here at 10. I think he is a guy that they could potentially walk away with as a, Jordan Davis kind of steps in to replace Javon Hargraves, that run stop. Kalijah Cansey gets to sit and kind of develop some skills, replace Cox in the future. So that would be those are the two guys that I'd be looking at right here for the Eagles.
Yeah, and it's going to be so tough in this spot to not go with Jackson Smith-Njigba if he's still here for the Eagles. Imagine pairing him up with that trio of Smith, Brown, and then Njigba, and then Hurts as well. That would just be unstoppable. But I think you got to go. You got to get the more reliable car instead of the super fast speedy one in this point. So it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint, and that would be awesome here. Especially when you have 2 first-round picks, you can kind of maybe reach or kind of expend another one there. But I think the Eagles are smarter than that. So I think the pick here is probably, like what we kind of talked about. We're shoring up that defensive side of the ball. I think when you have every single cornerback is still available here at number 10, which is crazy. I don't think this is actually how it'll play out, but it's here to us. So
that would be nuts.
Have our choice. Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez. I mean, we do have that. So I'd say that I'm more of a Devin Witherspoon as CB1, but Christian Gonzalez is a very close second to me. So I know he's your CB1. I'm honestly comfortable taking Christian Gonzalez here. I know we talked about the defense. They were able to bring back Darius Slay. They were able to bring back James Bradbury. But both are older and both are expensive. And so to get some youth here as looking here for the future, and a top-tier talent as well, I think is definitely probably what you'd have to do here. So I'm good with doing the Christian Gonzalez pick, I think, if you are.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% okay with that.
I figured. We'll go and take Gonzo here. I think it's a very good pick. And then we're back up on the clock here and just 20 more picks. So here we go. And so now we have to look at here maybe some interior offensive line. So they did lose Isaac Simileo. He did go to the Steelers. He played every single snap, every single game. Their 20 games last season. So a very important piece of their offensive line. I think for them, I would have loved a Osiris Torrance type of player here if he was still here. But obviously he does go to the Bills. Obviously this is a potential trade-up scenario. Maybe if they really want him, a guy that can play both guard and center. But this is the kind of the interior offensive lineman here that we're looking at. Anybody specific here, Chase, that you're really liking?
I love Steve Avila from TCU. I think he would be the best one on the board. Maybe it's a reach for the Eagles, but they do have, they already got their guy in that first pick. So this one they can afford to be a little bit stretchy for to fill a position of need. I think he could come in and be an instant starter at the guard position, even though they maybe don't need him to. They have Cam Jerkins waiting in the wing, but it's never bad to have too many linemen. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing, though, with the Eagles is this is what they do. They draft players not to necessarily start today, but to start tomorrow. And so having a guy like we're looking at here, Steve Avila. Now, listen, I don't think he's necessarily a first-round talent. I don't have a first-round grade on him at all. But they are, like we said, they have 2 first-rounders. So when you're looking at here, some second-rounders, second-round grades do go into the first. Not all 32 players in the first actually have first-round grades, right? That's what we say. That's what, NFL draft analysis, they say it's just part of it. But they've got the sure thing with their 10th pick, and now here they can add depth and competition. And a player, like we look here at his snaps, he's played everywhere. He's literally played every single position on the offensive line. So he's going to be a plug-and-play type of guy in case injury happens. And then you can pick and choose. Who do you want him to do? Do you want him to play center? Because he can. Do you want him to play guard? Because he can. He's going to be, one of those players, flexible, plug and play until you kind of decide which position you actually want him to. And once he gets into the building, gets out there, they can kind of figure that out. So based on how it's fallen to us, I really like this pick here for Philly.
Yeah. The only thing I want to check on before is just make sure that Bijan's not there. Bijan has a potential, but I've seen him a lot mocked down there. I figured he'd probably already be on this, but nah, that's what I thought. He probably was taken pretty.
Bijan goes really early to 16 to the Red. Who are they now?
Wow. The Commanders
now. Always be Redskins to me, but whatever. Nice try. That
would have been a scary pairing, but no. Based on what's left, I think I'm more than okay with Steve Ava. I think he would be a very nice fit there.
Jahmyr Gibbs could be here too as well, but I can't do I can't do a running back.
Yeah.
And I can't do luxury pick. Take a look at our episode 5 where we kind of talk about our draft pet peeves. For me, that's both of them: luxury pick and running back in the first round. I can't do it. It just makes me sick to my stomach. And so even though this is just a fake draft, mock draft, we're pretending here, I still can't do it. It still makes me sick. So I think we're good. Let's go ahead and do Steve Avila here then.
Yep. No, I like that.
Alrighty. And so now here, pick 62. So now we're here in round 2. So let's see. So we've done both sides of the ball. We've done defense, we've done offense. So now we can kind of take a look at, I think, best player available based on our needs here, looking kind of towards defensive line a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think defensive line, we know the pool of receivers isn't the best right here, kind of end of the second, but that's something also to be keeping an eye out. That slot receiver can make that passing game even more deadly. And I think, believe it or not, I think running back could be in play, right? I know Howie Roseman's a very analytical guy, doesn't like running back, but that running system they've got going over there, that could be dangerous if they have a true RB1.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I know they have Devin Achani there is very tempting pick there. I know that they got so they obviously lose Miles Sanders. But they do gain Rashad Penny, though. So Rashad Penny is no joke. He's a very talented player that can still play. Injuries, obviously, a concern for him. So,
yes,
running back, I think you could look at that there. So it's going to kind of depend on the value that we're getting. So we saw the running backs there. Looking at the defensive line there, I know you're big on Sakia Ika. I'm really not here. And so I don't know. We definitely take a look here and kind of look at what we got here, but really great at rushing the passer or pass rushing there. So just doesn't really have the stats really to back it up. And so that's kind of where I kind of sit back. Obviously, there's more to it than stats. Obviously, creating pressures and things like that, getting in there, but just the lack of this here when I'm looking at these numbers is just very, very concerning to me. And so to pick him in round 2 for me personally would be a very big stretch.
Yeah, I understand that. If you want to hear why I'm so high on him again, go watch that past video episode where we talked about our positions and our rankings of the positions going into the draft. I think he projects to be more of a DJ Reader type, maybe take a year to learn, but then after his first step is deadly. He's got pretty good at nose at sniffing out the run, also at rushing the passer, getting to the quarterback through the middle. I'm really high on him, but I understand the importance of not reaching on a defensive tackle.
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn here because the running back value I think here is really good with Devon here.
Yes, A-Chain. Especially he's projected to be the fastest running back. Put him and Hurts and A.J. Brown. That would be a phenomenal offense.
So I don't think the second round here, especially towards the end of the second round, obviously when you're at the end of the second round, it's basically be a third rounder as well. And so I'm more comfortable drafting running backs starting from the third round and on. But the fact that he's fallen here to the Eagles at this pick, especially with the need that the Eagles have, I think this could be a very exciting pick here. I think based on kind of what the draft board's at, I like this pick of Devon Achane right here.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too, especially because, right now they're sitting with Rashawn Perry, who I think is a very special runner, but is not very special at staying on the field as a runner, right? He gets hurt a lot. And then Boston Scott, we've seen him tear up he scores against the Giants, like 9 touchdowns against the Giants, and just does nothing. Yeah. So I would be a little bit more assured if I had Jalen Hurts rushing, if I had someone like Devon Achane who can just tear up the field, kick it into another gear. So
Boston Scott would have like the league record of most touchdowns scored in a season if he was just traded to every team the day they played the Giants.
Absolutely, yes, yes. That guy's got something against those Giants.
I know. I don't know what it is, but it's fun to see. So, so we took Devon there, round 2. So now we're at our last pick here, pick number 94. So now we can kind of take a look back here and kind of see where we're at. So obviously, I think the defensive line here, when we're looking at, especially more towards the future, more so than just for today, I think is where we can kind of take a look and kind of see where we're at with some of these players here. Anybody here? I know obviously it looks like Moro Ojomo is going to be kind of the pick here. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say he's the only name that I recognized. I've done just a tiny bit of scouting on Moro. I think he projected to be well. Watching that Tennessee defense, he kind of stood out in film. But you're really watching, or Texas, I'm sorry, not Tennessee, the Hook'em Horns. But I didn't think there's anything special about him necessarily that caught my eye. But he seemed to have a really good season. 20 hurries, a grade of 90.6. So that's a very special season. But
yeah, I mean, you look at his pass rush win rate at 17%. Almost 20% there is great. Run defense is great, and pass defense is great. So I mean, it's very, on the upper end of players, and so his ability to fall here into pick number 3 or round number 3, I think is probably a pretty good value, especially since we're especially before we're getting into all these silly compensatory picks before we hit round 4. So before we close out day 2 here, I'm liking this value here. And, like we said, somebody that doesn't have to come in and start right away, somebody that can sit back there, learn from one of the greats and Fletcher Cox, get some practice and work in there, get some reps in there, kind of be a rotational player to get in there, get some reps, get some experience, but not somebody that's going to be required to hop in and play right away, which is exactly kind of how the Eagles like to do things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I think just right before, I think he's our leading guy, but also I'd like to check middle linebacker a little bit. They're kind of weak on that spot, and they're riding with their former 3rd-round pick, Nakobe Dean, maybe. If there's a stud middle linebacker, I could see then. There's not. Okay.
There's not. So,
okay. So I'm all for the Moro pick.
Let's do it, Moro. We'll go ahead and pull up the draft grades here. Alrighty, so PFF, love this. So we get Christian Gonzalez, round 1, A-. Steve Avila, C+, round 2. Devon Achane, I know I'm butchering that. Sorry, buddy. D+, in round 2. And then we got a B+ grade of Moro Ojomo.
Yeah, so, and we've talked. I was just gonna say we've talked on our previous mock drafts and on our mock draft 1, right? The Achane, the D+ there, that's just positional value. PFF doesn't value running back, which I think is right, but that value is just too much in a run heavy offense, right? If this was the Kansas City Chiefs where they're throwing the ball 9 times, at 9 out of 10 times, maybe that's not the pick there. But in a offensive scheme that has you keeping the ball on the ground more and more, that running back value there was just too crazy to pass up.
Yeah, I like it. And kind of like we said, I don't think it's a luxury pick at all. We got good value here in round 1, and at the end of round 2 here, right before round 3, snagging a running back of that caliber, I think is good. Obviously, grabbing Moro here late in round number 3, that he's fallen that way, I think, is great value here. So all in all, I think I think it's a good draft here for the Eagles. Obviously, it's a lot of preparing for the future instead of just preparing for next season, which is how they like to do things. And I think for the most part, it's pretty much the smart way to play it, especially when you got the type of players that they have in the building currently to kind of defend their title as industry championships and take another shot at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and who knows? Howie Roseman is pretty analytical and pretty open to moving his draft picks, right? I think he's done a trade. I think he's traded a first round pick in like the past 6 seasons, or 6 out of 7 or something like that. So who knows if they even pick both of these first picks? They could move one, for maybe a quality guard or something like that. But I think this is a pretty good draft, and I think it's pretty similar to how the Philadelphia Eagles draft, right? They draft for later. That way they can compete now. So.
I agree. Well, as always, Eagles fans, let us know in the comment your thoughts here of our picks. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there some player position you would have went differently? Let us know. Give us your mock drafts here in our comments. Like, subscribe, check out our other mock drafts here on All Things Football. We've got some more mock drafts to come. Super excited to bring you along. So we'll catch you next time on All Things Football.